Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the stream. Oh, we've got our first problem, Andy. Hang on. I may need to switch the camera on and off. We've got no view at the moment. Good evening, everybody, by the way. That is Andy's outfit for the week. I do hope you like it. It's the Easter outfit. I'll let Andy tell you what his little outfit comprises of and where he got it from.
Well, I can't tell you where I got it from because it's a secret, but I have been dressed in that all day waiting for you all to do your little Easter egg hunt. So, you know, if any ladies would like to have a rummage around for an Easter egg, feel free.
I would absolutely love to know where you got that giant cream egg from because they're
I can't let you know my secrets.
They are most definitely one of my favourites. By the way, folks, my channel is currently under review. I am dreading when they open that video to review that video. The first thing they're going to be confronted with is a partially naked Andy with egg coverings.
It's all about them bunny ears, though, isn't it? That's what it's about.
It's the hat and the bunny ears. I think they're just really, really fetching. I've got to be honest. I want to get a pair for Jason. Who is currently at work, but I'm pretty sure he's probably lurking on the channel now instead of doing any work. Because this is what he normally does. Luckily, he's only on for 3 hours again tonight, so it should be okay. Right, if anybody wants a card reading, just put your name in the chat and Andy will take your name down. And you can flick the video back quickly, Tracy, to watch it if you've missed it. But yeah, it's even racier than last week's. But like I was saying, just put your name in the chat and we'll do your reading. Andy, you, me, Becky, swing bunny ears.
Oh, it's happening.
Hi, Leah. Welcome to the channel.
Oh, dear. Well, if you want to make a start, I've got 5 names down already. So.
Okay. I think James wants one of them outfits as well. Andy.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You're going to have to stick them on your Etsy page.
I will do.
Right, okay, then who's the first one, Andy?
First one is Carol.
Carol.
Yeah.
Is it Carol of East Drive fame?
I don't think so.
Oh, let's put them up here. For some reason, it's... Right, here we go. Past, present, future, final outcome, Carol. I do typical 4-card readings. Down to the full spreads because we'd be here all night, basically. So we'll just do a simple past, present, future, final outcome. Right, your past card first, which is the card on the left, is the moon. The moon is also a major arcana card, the only one you've got in the spread. So basically what that is saying is, in regards to this reading, something that has happened in the recent past is the most significant part of this reading because it is a major arcana card. They do always signify the important areas in a reading when they come up. So in your case, there is something significant that's recently happened that is affecting your life path at the moment. Now, the moon for me has many meanings. It is what I class as a neutral card. And because of the card it's standing next to, I would say there are a couple of negative. It's a couple of the negative aspects surrounding this card that are being highlighted here in the recent past. Now, the moon is a sign of deception and things occurring out of the blue, things from the unknown creeping up on you, as is signified by the crayfish in the picture, that little black thing that looks like a lobster crawling out of the water towards the dogs. Hi, Joanne. That signifies things from the unknown creeping up on you. So I would say recently there has been some kind of issue or situation in your life that has occurred that you weren't expecting, that's been extremely significant to you at that time. And by the past, I would say it's been within the last 6 months. I'm not getting the feeling it was a long-term thing. I'm getting the feeling it was recent past, within the last 6 months. Um, it would have led to a decision, because one of the other significances of the moon card is treading a pathway between the light and dark, between good and evil. But for me, what I'm getting the most off that card at the moment is the crayfish, which is telling me that there has been a very significant issue in the recent past, which occurred. That has caused a lot of, I wouldn't say disruption, but I would say has caused a lot of changes in your life recently. Something, like I say, that wasn't looked for, and something that wasn't expected. It was definitely unseen when it occurred. It was a sudden occurrence, I would say, but it was most definitely a life changing one. Now it leads into your present card, which is the Three of Wands. Now, for me, that card is saying that whatever happened recently, connecting it to the moon, has caused a lot of introspection, a lot of going within yourself and having to take a lot of time out to think things through and contemplate on the situation that has happened. Again, it is reinforcing this life changing issue that has gone on, and it's still continuing into the present because it's sitting in your present card with your Three of Wands. Um, there are it's interesting because your future card, but I'll touch on that in a minute. But what this is saying to me at the moment is you are actually in a very important aspect of your life where a lot of decisions need to be made as a result of this thing that has just recently occurred. It is a lot of deep feeling, possibly the ending of situations and possible relationships, friendships, or whatever, or maybe relationships a little bit stronger. But this is definitely the period I'm getting off this card at the moment, that there is a lot of thinking being done surrounding you at the moment, Carol. And it's something that you're not discussing with people. It's something that you've got to get straight in your own head first before you do anything else. Again, because it's the wands, it signifies that it's on the physical realm more so than the materialistic side of things. It's not an emotional card, and it's certainly not the intellectual side of things. It is very much on the physical. So that is what makes me think it is to do with actual relationships more so than situations, sorry, more so than relationships, because it's actually the physical realm. Again, this period's going to go on for a number of months, but I would say go with your gut instincts, Carol, on whatever decisions you make, because I think this card is saying that the decisions you make are going to be the right ones, even though I think a couple of them may be tough decisions. Right, moving into your future, you've got the Two of Swords. Now this is what I say the blind decision card. So it is saying that these decisions are going to be made at a period sometime in the future. Again, I don't think it's far into the future. It's not going to be a long drawn out process, but there are decisions to be made, and regarding these decisions, you cannot see at the moment which way the paths are going to lead. I think you know what your choices are, but at this point in time, and at the point of time when you make these decisions, you are not going to have a clear picture of where they are going to go. I always say this card is very similar to the the first card in the major arcana, which is the Fool, which signifies taking a leap of faith. This is the other card in the major arcana that again signifies a leap of faith. But this one is more so a leap of faith where out comes cannot be fully understood until you travel down one path or another. This reading's for Carol, Joanne. Um, but you will have more than one path that you can take as a result of these decisions, Carol. I cannot advise you which one to take because I don't know what they are, but there are going to be. It is going to be a multi-choice situation. Neither of them, or if there's more than two, are going to be anything overly negative for you. But I do believe that some of them would probably be better for you than others. But that is for you to make the personal decision on that one. Now, leading to the final outcome, Carol, you have got the Eight of Pentacles, which is a card that represents the material level. But it also, for me, this is the one card that signifies self-reliance and making use of your own skills. So what this is saying is whatever decision you take, you have actually got the skill set in place already to make a decent enough decision with the information you've got. Your final outcome is a good card. It's a very positive card, the Eight of Pentacles, because I always see it as an improvement in the material things, and an improvement in skill sets and things that you know. It is very much reinforcing back to that future card of the Two of Swords, and it is saying, be very self-reliant. You've got the information at your fingertips. You may not have all the information, but because of that card there, you will have enough to make an informed decision. And whatever you decide is not going to have a negative outcome because of that Eight of Pentacles. Carol, you are going to. It is a benefit card, and it does show increases on the material level. But I think in this case, it also shows an improvement in your overall life choices and your overall life situation on all levels of life because of what that card actually represents, even though it is more specifically attuned to the material side of things. But overall, Carol, not a bad reading. Like I say, it's been a bit of a mixed bag over the last 6 to 12 months here with this situation. A lot of thought-provoking stuff's been going on. The decisions are yet to be made, but they will be made, and overall, it won't be a bad path that you decide to take. But like I say, Carol, weigh up your options as best you can, because you're not going to be fully informed on them when the time comes to choose. But there is a choice there to be made, and none of them are going to be bad for you. So I hope that helped. Here we go, Andy. That's number one over and done with.
One. Yeah. Next up, we've got Leah.
Leah Wiggett, okay. Hi, Sean. You're welcome, Carol. You're more than welcome. Oh wow, this is a nice one. This is a card of reading I'd like for myself. Right, Leah, very, very positive. I'll say now before I even start, this is a very, very positive reading. Very good reading from what I'm getting off these cards. You have also got two major arcana that have fallen out. You've got one sitting in the past and one sitting in the future, and they are both surrounding a Knight card, which signifies a lot of movement. So that in itself is good, and your final outcome card is a really, really nice one as well. So we'll start with your past, which is the Hierophant. Now I always say it's not Streamlabs that's broken, Maureen. YouTube have switched off a lot of chat features at the moment. Like you can't reference other channels by clicking on the name or nothing now. At the moment, so I think they've turned off all the bots and stuff as well. That's why your gambling ain't up and running at the moment, Maureen. Can't help that. Sorry, it's a YouTube thing. Right, Leah. The Hierophant, I always say, is the masculine equivalent of the High Priestess, which is a card that signifies someone who has been giving a lot of advice recently. So I don't know whether this card refers to you or whether it refers to somebody who's been giving you advice. And this has been, like I say, recent past. The advice you've been given has been good advice. It is definitely advice you should have listened to. Whether you have done or not, I cannot say because that card is sitting in the past. But for me, the Hierophant always signifies a person, either yourself or someone around you, either you giving someone good advice or someone has been giving you good advice very, very recently. That person is somebody you need to keep in your life at the moment because they're going to have a very, very positive impact on things that are to come because that Hierophant card leads right the way through the reading. Um, I would think, to be honest with you, that it is probably, Leah, you giving somebody else advice rather than you having the advice given to you because the Hierophant itself is actually more significant to me in that than the two, well, I don't know what you class them as, cardinals or whatever, acolytes who were kneeling down in front of him receiving the advice. So for me, I'm getting the impression that it was probably advice you've been given, but it's had an impact on your own life because as we move into the present, we've got the Knight of Swords. Now, all the Knight cards signify movement within the area that they have, that they signify. The sword signifies the intellectual side of life, so it is things like ideas and thoughts. So what it is saying is whatever this advice that has been going on recently, Leah, has prompted a lot of movement and a lot of change in your own way of thinking, in your own thoughts and beliefs. There is definitely movement going on in your belief system at the moment, and it's going to be quite significant changes because it is actually the knight rather than the page. Had it had been the page, I would have said it would have been a more weaker version of idea changes, but because it's the knight for me always signifies the greatest movement, whereas the page is the watered down version of the knight. Rather, as in medieval times, the page served the knight until he himself became a knight. So that is why I say the page is always a weakened version of a knight. But being that it's the knight, it is saying that your thoughts and ideas are definitely in a big. There is a lot of change going on here, a lot of movement, a lot of reorganising of thoughts. Definitely a time to sit back and think about things. Uh, do a little bit of a inventory on your beliefs and ideas and what's going on in your life because this is the time to do it. The Knight is definitely a very, very positive card to have there, especially with it being the Knight of Swords connected to the Hierophant because, like I say, the Hierophant is the giver of good advice and knowledge, and the Knight is the movement of ideas and thoughts, so they tie in together very nicely. Now, leading into your future, you've got the Hermit, which again is reinforcing back to the Knight that this, and what this is saying to me is that in the future, these thoughts are going to some way isolate you from certain people who are currently within your life who have a certain way of thinking. This is definitely going to be a positive thing for you, Leah, even though a lot of people may see it as a negative thing. It may be that you've got a changing of friendships coming up. You may find that your social circle readjusts itself as a result of what the Hermit represents in these cards and because of the changing of your thoughts and ideas. So maybe things you've got in common with people at the moment are going to change in the near future as your ideas develop. I don't see it leaving you isolated as in the extreme version of the Hermit. I do think that this because of the two cards surrounding it, it is a weakened version of what the Hermit can represent. So for me, I think it is signifying a reshuffling of relationships and friendships. So you may lose some friend, and I'm not saying this is going to be a disruptive thing, argumentative thing. They may just drift out of your life as friends do, but you are definitely going to have new people drifting into your social circle. Really interesting this is, Leah, but it is definitely all as a result of this change in thoughts and ideas that is occurring right now. Right now, your final outcome leading on to the end is the Four of Pentacles. Now, the Four of Pentacles is one of the cards that I always say, even though it's a materialistic card, it is also a generalised card for me, and it is one that shows perfect balance of mind, body, and spirit. That is what it represents to me. The two pentacles under his feet, the pentacle over his heart and the pentacle over his head, shows the unification. It shows the grounding with the ones on the feet, and it's the grounding of the heart and the head where the other two pentacles are. So for me, it shows a perfect balance, and what that is saying is, Leah, as a result of these changes, you are going to find that you are much happier in yourself at the end of this process. This reshuffling and people coming in and out of your life are going to be a necessary thing for you to move on at the moment. But it's definitely going to be a positive thing because you're going to come out of it with a much more balanced outlook on life and a much more balanced outlook in general in all aspects of your life, be it intellectual, materialistic, physical, and emotional. This card just represents, it's the epitome of self balance, of perfect harmony within a person individually. So what it is saying is, be prepared for this changing and this moving around, but it is going to be a necessary process that you need to go through shortly. And like I say, you're not going to be on your own. You may have people drift out of your life, but you're certainly going to have people drift back in because of it, and they are going to be better for you than the ones that they are replacing because of this balancing card of the Four of Pentacles. So overall, Leah, this one is a really, really good reading. It's a really positive reading all the way through. There is no negative cards in this reading whatsoever. The fact you've got your two major arcana as well are really important, because what that is saying to me is that the past is going to have a very important influence on the future, and what is sitting in the middle is where all the change is going on, and the final outcome is perfect balance. So you could not have had a better reading. Really, really nice balance reading, that one. So I hope you can relate some of that to your life from what I've said, but that is what I'm getting off the cards for you. So I hope that helped you. Okay. How many have we got for readings tonight, Andy?
We've got a full house, full 10.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah,
They want me to work tonight.
I do. And next up is Vicky.
Vicky.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give him a good shuffle. I'm glad it makes sense to you, Leah. You're welcome. Okie dokie, Vicky. Here we go. Oh, this one's always a funny card. Was that the first one I've just done, Andy, or the second?
That was the second.
Right, we're on to the third. Okay, right, Vicky, quite a mixed bag here. Don't panic about death sitting in the final outcome, because it does not necessarily mean death, and in this case it most certainly does not mean somebody's going to die. Right, past, present, future, final outcome. We'll start with the first card. Now this card for me is always a very, very funny card, and especially for it to sit there is why I find this is such a mixed bag, because the Three of Pentacles for me always shows that there has been some kind of financial instability, or the needing to lend people money or to borrow money. It's something of a money's tight type of card. So I don't know what your situation, and I ain't expecting you to discuss it on a live stream, but for me this does show that maybe money has been a little bit tight recently, or a little bit tighter than what you are currently used to. I don't know whether it's gone as far as you lending somebody money or somebody lending you money, but I'm definitely getting the impression that recently there has been some kind of financial transaction around you. Maybe not necessarily you directly, but it's very, very close to you. That there's some kind of financial transaction going here, because it's like a three-way thing on the material level, because the pentacles represent three-way. it does sometimes as well. This card does sometimes, for some reason, signify teenagers as well, because I always see those two on the right hand side as parents, and the guy standing on the bench as a teenager or a child. And it can signify that there has been either problems or celebrations, depending on what's surrounding the card. Now, the card next to it is not a negative card, and it is not a positive card, it is a neutral card. So I would say there has probably been some kind of situation recently, surrounding either a child or a teenager within the family. I don't know whether it's been of concern or whether it's been some kind of improvement concerning this child, because the card is neutral. Now, moving on to your present, you've got the Six of Swords. Now, this for me always says that, again, it's very similar to the last reading. It is a time to dump intellectual baggage, because this card always signifies to me that you are carrying, so that sack signifies that you are carrying something round in your head that is being detrimental to you. And this is going on right now, and this is going to sound a bit gruesome and horror filmy, but I always see this card as representing that bag is being dumped in the river, like a murder victim type thing. It needs dumping in the river and getting out of sight. So what I'm getting off this card at the moment for you, this is Leah I'm reading for, isn't it, Andy?
Vicky.
Vicky, sorry. What I'm getting off for you, Vicky, is that there is something that you have got stuck in your head at the moment that you need to let go of. It is time to dump it in the lake and forget about it, because you've already got enough concerns going on, as represented by the Seven Swords stuck into the boat. And if they are driven too far in the boat, they can cause the boat to sink with you in it. And that sack is just adding extra weight to the boat and sinking it even lower in the water. So what that card says to me is there are things going on in your head now on an intellectual level, not emotional or material, definitely on an intellectual level. Maybe thoughts that don't need to be there, or ideas that don't need to be there. Now is the time to dump them overboard, because you've got more than enough going on in your head and in your life at the moment, that this is just one extra bit of baggage that you don't need, and it's an extra bit of baggage that you can easily get rid of. It is definitely a problem that can be dealt with, because it's already bagged up and ready to be dumped. And that is why I say it's not a negative card, it is a neutral card. It doesn't mean anything bad, it just means that there are ideas that you can get rid of now. They are no help to you, they're going to be of no help to you in the future. They are just sitting there in your head, Vicky, and they need to be gone, because the other stuff that's in your head at the moment is more important, and this thing could actually be a sort of barrier that's preventing you from moving on to more important matters that you need to think about, which is represented by the seven swords sticking in the boat. I always say you need to pull those seven swords out before they go right the way through the boat and start letting water in, and that is what that's signifying. Get rid of this intellectual baggage now, because now's the time to do it. And it's, I'm not getting a negative thing off this card, so don't worry about it. It is very achievable. It may be something extremely minor, but it is causing that blockage for you on an intellectual level at the moment, and it needs to be gone. Now, moving into the future, you've got the Two of Wands. Now, the Two of Wands to me always signifies an improvement card, but on a slower level than it would be if it was an higher number up the suit. As I've said previously, the wands signify the element of earth, so they signify the physical, and this is your physical realm. And what this is saying to me now is, again, there are two things in your life that will currently become very, very important to you, and they are two things on the physical level. They could be two people, it could be two separate situations, it could be a mixture of both. But there are two things that are about to become very, very important to you within the physical realm of things. So that is why I say it could be person or situation, or a mixture of a person and a situation. Either way, these two are going to be linked very, very strongly to you and to each other. So if it's a person and a situation, The situation is linked to that person, but that person and situation are also linked to you. If it's two people, it just means that the two people are strongly linked to you, but they are going to become very, very important on a material level of your life within the future. And this is saying to me that it's the material side of things that you have got to the physical, sorry, not material, the physical side of things that you need to be concentrating on as you move into the future, because these two situations are going to be very, very important to you. They are going to become an anchor for you, and they are going to be the pathway that leads you on to what is to come. One isn't any more important than the other. Even though he's grasping the other one stands at an equal distance from him, and you are standing firmly in the middle. But this is definitely a physical thing, Vicky. So just be aware of it. But they are going to become an anchor point for you in the very near future. Right. Now the final outcome is death. Now I like death. A lot of people panic when they see death in a reading, but for me, I always think death has much more positives than negatives. And what it is saying is, eventually, the final outcome for you, Vicky, is there is going to be massive changes for you in the future to come. Death does not only signify death, it signifies rebirth, because where there is a death, something new springs from it. It is particularly, apt to say that we're in, it's Easter Sunday. It literally represents that kind of thing, life overcoming death. It is the death of situations and ideas. It is not the death of a person in this case. Brendan says, love a good death long. But it is definitely saying your final outcome is going to result in a lot of changes, Vicky. Definitely things that you've held dear all your life are going to be broken down and washed away, sort of thing. I think they may be connecting back to your present card and that thing I was saying about the baggage in the boat. It's that kind of thing. It's the death of those that are going to lead to this rebirth of stuff. There's a lot of changes to come, because death is the major arcana card that signifies change. It is symbolic death. It is the death of one thing and the start of something else. It is almost like you are about to march into a new phase of your life, but you have definitely got it. Again, it is reinforcing this getting rid of things that you don't need in your life because they are holding you back. So let the changes happen, Vicky, because everything is going to be done for a positive reason. There's nothing negative in this reading whatsoever, but you have got to embrace the changes to move on. So I hope that helped. Okay. Oh, I always panic when death comes up at people's reactions to it.
Yeah.
I actually did a live reading for one woman once, and I turned it over in the reading, and she was almost in tears, and I'm like, oh, trying to reassure her. Before, I was just convinced somebody was going to die.
All right.
And it's like, no, nobody's dying on you, don't worry. Because see, this is like what we were talking about on Friday, where Hollywood and things have taken over all people's beliefs that they've heard, and husband with the bump, and this is why you are my wife. Okay. Oh, what are Brandon and Jace talking about?
No idea.
Jace ain't alone, he's at work with all his friends. Right, who's next, Andy?
Jamie.
Oh, Jamie, the wheel of life, how apt. Okay, Jamie, past, present, future, final outcome. Right. You've only got one major arcana there, which is the world, but it is one of the best of the cards in the deck, because it shows, as I've just said, it represents the wheel of life, as is symbolised by the snake reef round the figure, eating itself and continuing. I'm home now. Brett, I finished at 9. I didn't realise it had passed 9, Jace. Jesus, have we been going over an hour already? We have as
Uh,
well.
yeah.
Oh, we didn't start till 9, did we?
Oh, 47 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Still, it's not far off.
I
It's not
know.
far.
Just flew by. Right, Jamie, it is definitely showing the ending of a phase in your life and the start of another one. It is completion and rebirth, believe it or not. Very similar to the death card, but on a on a much stronger scale. I know, obviously, what I know, so it could refer to that. I'm not saying it does, but it is saying that there is a period of your life that has just come to completion and you are about to start on an all new journey. This is what the Earth card represents. It is the last card of the major arcana and it signifies the completion of the deck, and the completion of a phase in life. Always a positive card, never, never a negative card, the Earth, even when it's inverted. So always a good card. So what it is saying, Jamie, is recently things have been, things have been stable for you. Certain things in your life have come to an end now, but certainly new avenues have opened up, and this is what the Earth card or the World card always signifies is this completion of a cycle, and the wheel of life turning again. Okay, right, now moving into your present, this is where things start to get interesting, because again we've got this card that represents skills on a personal level, and it's saying that what I'm getting off this card, Jamie, is that there is going to be a little bit of a period at the moment where there is going to be a bit of disruption around you, where you're going to have to be very light on your feet, um, both financially and mentally, if you know what I mean. Um, Definitely a lot of there's this bit of needing to be a little bit crafty at the moment with certain situations, juggling the finances, but also juggling the intellectual side of things. No health issues there whatsoever, um, because I ain't getting anything like that off there. So I think pregnancy is going to progress perfectly fine. To be honest with you, there's nothing major showing up for that. But it is showing that you're gonna. I'm just getting this really strange feeling, Jamie, that you're gonna have to play things a little bit crafty at the moment over a certain situation. I believe it's a situation you're already aware of, or it's one that you're aware of but you haven't acted upon at the moment. But I believe now is the time to act upon it. But I do believe that you're aware of it now. But there is going to have to be this little bit of element of relying on your wits. That is what I'm getting very, very strongly off this card, is that you're going to have to rely on your wits and your skills to carry you through a situation that is about to unfold. Okay? It is definitely the skill card, personal skills, and that is why I'm getting I'm getting this little bit of this new phase is going to start off a little bit shakily, but nothing majorly negative. But there is going to be a little bit of proverbial, being quick on your feet and relying on your wits sort of thing. That is definitely what's surrounding the future card at the moment. The present card, sorry. Now moving on to the future, we've got the Eight of Wands, and these wands are facing downwards. So there is going to be a decline with something on the physical level, Jamie, and I am getting that it is going to be friendships. This is the sort of thing I'm getting, and it's definitely linking back to this present card, Jamie, where you're having to play it a little bit by ear with somebody. I think this is what it is. This is referencing the slow decline of a friendship, and it's already happening now, Jamie. There's some situation going in your life that somebody is gradually slipping away from you. Okay, and I get the impression it is on the acquaintance circle more so than immediate family and whatever. I get the impression it's a friend, and it's something to do with the situation that's going on now, and you having to be a little bit fast on your feet. But there is definitely this decline showing here, but it is not a negative decline for you, because if you look, the ones are actually budding with leaves. So although something is on the decline, there is going to be some kind of growth because of it. and I would think it would be more of a case of growth as personal satisfaction rather than the growth of a new friendship out of it. I think this friendship has got to end for you to move on with a certain thing and for you to grow in a certain area, because I think this person is currently holding you back. I do believe this friendship is currently already on the rocky road. It may not have got to a stage yet where it's going to come to a separation of the ways, but that is definitely what it's leading to, and that is coming. That is coming possibly within weeks, Jamie. I'm getting a lot of urgency off this card that this is going to be a really quick decline. You got that gradual slope, but I get the impression it's going to be a rather quick decline. Now, this is reinforced, Jamie, by your final outcome, because you've got the Five of Swords. Now, that one for me always signifies conflict on the intellectual. So for me, and because it's the Five, it's what I call a pivot card, where it balances between the numbers. The Five is neither high or low; it is smack bang in the middle. It is like the centre point on a set of scales. But it's definitely showing conflict and a battle of wills, Jamie. And what this is saying to me is you've got to hold your ground on this situation with this friendship and what's going on with this situation regarding the friendship. But there is definitely a battle of wills there going on, Jamie. It's two stubborn people refusing to budge an inch. But what the cards are saying is, in this case, don't concede to the demands made, because I get the impression there are going to be some form of demands made regarding this friendship or regarding the situation surrounding this friendship, and this is what is causing this decline. But it's definitely showing that ultimately there is going to be conflict there, and there is going to be a parting of the ways. But it is also showing this battle of wills. This battle of wills is really important. And that's why somebody's shouting. But it is definitely saying, in this case, Jamie, definitely hold your ground on this one, because you're in the right for once. It's not just a case of being stubborn, it's a case of holding your ground, because in this case, whatever it is you're holding your ground for, whatever you've pinned your flag to, is definitely the right thing to do for you on a personal level. If you make concessions now, you are going to regret it in the future. And even if it means letting this friend out of your life altogether, that is what you're going to have to do. It is basically saying, let this thing take its course. You've stuck your sword in the ground now as to where you've drawn the battle lines, and there's no crossing them. Is basically what it's saying. So just hold your ground, Jamie, and if need be, let this friend go for their good and for your good. But there is going to be growth for you, as is signified on the budding leaves on the wands. It is not a negative decline. It's not going to be like a physical fight or anything like that. It is just going to be a drifting apart sort of ending. But there is going to be a form of conflict at the end of it, and you have got to hold your ground regarding that. And if you lose your friend, you lose your friend. If there may be a way to save the friendship, but don't make any concessions on this one. That is really, really important that you hold your ground on it. So I hope that helps with you, Jamie. It's not hard breaking, Brendan. Everybody has people in and out of their lives. Or is Brandon talking about somebody's pets?
Right, next up we've got Karen.
Karen. I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee in a second, and
No worries.
oh, and by the way, people, my new community section opened last night, which I've been eagerly waiting for, and mobile live streaming. That was the big one I was waiting for. I have actually put a post in the community section tonight of a poll for people to put in what they would like to see for future content on the channel. So when the stream is finished, or if you've got time during the stream, I'll just ask if you just pop into the community section and vote for what you'd like to see on the channel. Obviously, we'll be doing a lot of elemental stuff with Andy, and a lot of ITC stuff with Sam being on the channel, because they do both come up well. Andy's on here all the while. He's my biggest rock. He really is. And Sam's coming on them all now as well. So we'll still be covering all that. But we are happy to cover general things more general things concerning the paranormal. We're even prepared to do Wicca and witchcraft and Andy's form of paganism, which is Andy's own particular brand. So we're happy to cover all that. But if you just go on and just vote one way or the other, there's also an option on there where you can just vote other, and then I'll just ask you to put a comment in the actual post itself as what you would like to see. So if you want to do something like have a stream talking about Champ, which is the Canadian version of the Loch Ness Monster, then that would go in the other section. But you'd have to put a post in there to say, can you please discuss Champ? But please don't do that one, because I don't want to do an entire stream on Champ. That was just the first thing that come into my head. Right, did you say the next one's Karen?
Yeah.
Right, ignore me while I take a gulp of cold coffee. Right, Karen. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, this is really... Oh, this is a relationship one, Karen. This is for you, Karen. Right, Karen. Past, present, future, final outcome. Now, I don't know whether you're married or not, or whether you're with somebody, but what I'm getting off this past is recently that you've been feeling very, very isolated within your social circle. The hermit actually is one of his signifiers is the fact of the hermit himself wanting solitude and stuff like that. But even though you've been surrounded by people, I think there's been this element, Karen, where you've felt a little bit alone, or maybe that people have not been understanding your situation, or you've just felt that these people ain't been supporting you enough within your social circle and family. And this is what I'm getting. Which Karen is it for?
Karen Young.
Karen Young. Okay,
Yeah.
Karen Young is for you. So I'm getting this little bit of either being isolated or feeling isolated. There's definitely this feeling of isolation. It does. Like I said, I don't know if you're married or in a relationship, but even if you are, there has still been this feeling of isolation, of being on your own. But the lamp does signify the illumination of your path. So I don't think it's necessarily been a separation that has an isolation that has particularly bothered you, because I think you found your own pathway through it, and it has been quite illuminating to you on certain levels, that the fact that you have had this isolation and people have not really been around you and supporting you, you've developed your own little path through things, and it's triggered new ideas and stuff for you, most definitely. New opportunities are there. Now, I don't mean that kind of isolation, Kat. I mean isolation more on an emotional type of level. Feeling, that kind of isolation. Right, now, Karen, the good news is, coming into the present, you have got the Two of Cups. Now, the Two of Cups, depending on your marital status, it's always a good thing, but basically what this says is, if you are married or you are with somebody, then that period is about to end now in the present, because the Two of Cups represents a union or a partnership in a very, very positive light. Cups represent the emotional, so they always refer to the relationship side of things, but there is definitely a renewal of a relationship there, or the start of a new relationship. Now, because of the cards you have got here, Karen, I am definitely getting the feeling that this is more of a romantic rather than a friendship or acquaintance type of thing. So if you're with somebody, there is definitely about to be a big improvement in that relationship, almost like a renewal of going back to when you first met. It's going to be that kind of thing. If you are currently single, then you are soon to meet somebody who you are going to become romantically linked with. This is the two meanings of this. It's the same meaning, but depending on your situation as how you apply it. So, like I say, if you're married, it means that your relationship is going to strengthen, or is in the process of strengthening. You're coming out of this period of isolation into a very, very positive card concerning relationships. But there is definitely either the start of a new relationship or a current relationship renewing to the point of it almost being like when you first met kind of feelings surrounding that relationship, which is really good. Definitely, I'm also getting a little bit of a celebration feeling off that card as well, Karen. So I don't know if there's a anniversary or something coming up, but there is definitely some kind of celebration feeling coming off that. There is, nothing. I don't mean massive birthday party, but there is definitely a celebration feeling to that card. So there's going to be something to celebrate surrounding that relationship, surrounding you and that other person. There's just this little touch of celebration I'm getting off that card at the moment. Right, now moving on to the future, this is a really interesting one because normally I see this card as a little bit negative, but on this time I'm seeing it as a positive, and what I'm seeing here is a continuing of this relationship to the point where you are going to be very, very supportive of one another in a situation that is coming up very, very shortly. I'm not saying it's a negative situation, but you are going to be very, very useful to one another as this situation unfolds. There's going to be a lot of reliance on the two of you rather than just one person experiencing it. It is definitely going to be something that the pair of you experience, and you are almost going to be like an emotional support for each other through it. Now, it could be a positive thing, but it is definitely going to be something of an emotional level, even though it is a pentacle card. I'm getting the support element of the two people there. She's walking with that guy there, making sure that he doesn't fall over, and he's walking slightly behind her to make sure she's okay walking through the snow. So I'm definitely getting this feeling that there is going to be some kind of support between you and this other person who are currently in this phase of renewal as in relation to this relationship. So like I say, if you're about to start a new relationship, you are going to be very, very supportive of one another over the coming months. If you're already married, then the situation you are going to encounter is very much going to be the two of you type of thing. You two against the world type of thing. Even though it's not, I'm not saying it's a negative thing you're going to experience. It is definitely going to be something where the two of you will deal with it better than if you dealt with it separately or if one of you dealt with it on their own. Okay, Karen? But definitely take the support of this person and give this person the support they need, because that is definitely the pathway for you coming up in the near future. Now again, your final outcome is the Three of Cups. Again, an emotion card, again a celebration. So this journey you're about to go on together that has come from the renewal of your relationship is going to have a very, very celebratory ending. There's going to be something very, very positive come out of this journey that you're about to go on together, where you support for each other. That card, I always say, is like the emotional party card, so it is always extremely popular. It does have another meaning, um, but that's a negative meaning, and I definitely don't get that feeling. Well, it depends on what type of person you are as to whether it's a negative meaning or not. Okay, but I won't touch on it too much because I don't think this applies in this case. I think you very much get in the celebratory intentions of this card, or that is what I'm getting off it. It is this celebration of emotion, almost to the point of feeling in a party mood. So whatever this journey is, it's going to have a very, very positive outcome for the two of you. But this reading is very much about two people, Karen. It is definitely you and somebody else on a romantic level. So it is you and your partner, or you and a partner you are about to meet, and you're going to go on this journey over the coming months. But there is going to be a very, very joyous outcome to the end of this journey. Something for the both of you to celebrate, and something that's going to be a lifelong type of event. That it's something that's going to be remembered, or something that's going to have an effect right the way through your life. That's the strength I'm getting off that card at the moment. Okay. So I hope that helped, Karen. Like I say again, there's nothing negative in that one at all. Nothing at all. There's just, but that one is very much so relation. I don't get them very often where they're so relationship specific. Normally, when you get the cups, I just tend to get the feeling that they're, within your social circle. But this one, I am definitely getting the impression that it is romantic emotions rather than friends and acquaintance type emotions. So, very interesting reading, that one. What reading number was that, Andy?
That was number 5.
Right, can you just chat for a second while I quickly roll me a smoke, because I definitely need me a smoke.
Yeah, no worries. So next up is Brendan from Orb's Realm, so he knows to get himself prepared.
You make it sound like I'm beheading these people, just
Well,
Andy.
yeah. Some of them can be quite sinister.
Get yourself ready, you're about to have your head lopped off. So if anybody wants to go and vote, quickly vote on that poll while I'm doing this, you can do, because I'm only going to be a couple of seconds, but I'll get it rolled and then I'll start on with Brendan's reading. Just quickly roll this. Have you been doing anything interesting today, Andy?
I've been building Rem bears.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, Tracy's Rem, something happened to it. We have got no idea, but it was constantly on when it were turned on, and it wouldn't go back quiet.
Yeah.
I think one of the components are blown inside on chipboard, so never seen it happen before.
All right.
I managed to fix it temporarily by soldering 2 bits together and then releasing solder again. But then after 15 minutes of sat there, it was just like
doing it again,
surging power again from battery. Very, very strange. So brand new component, brand new chipboard in that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been building Joanne B's bear as well. And I thought I got everything here for it, so I built it all up, got it all inside there, and button on for his bum and turned up.
Oh, you kidding?
So I was like, oh, never. So it's just sat all waiting now for a button just to go on.
Is that the button to change the tones?
Yeah, for musical note setting, yeah.
You'll love it when you get it, Joe, and these bears are brilliant. Kaya always takes an unnatural interest in mine when I bring him down, so I've got to watch her, because he'll be de-stuffed and de-wired if Kaya was left with him. But they are really good bears. So you've done 2 bears today then? That's good to hear. Give these a good shuffle. Miss Q, Karen, my relationship started that way. 16 years later, still together. Ooh, 16 years with somebody. Andy K, I don't know what Andy's for. I dread to think what Andy's voted. Right, Brendan, we'll do yours now. I'm just giving him a good shuffle. I'm very tempted, Andy, next time I go down to the Midlands, he'd bite the bullet and go to my mother's and see if I can get up the attic and find my old Swiss 1JJ deck.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was one of my first decks.
Cool.
And it's a really expensive deck to buy now. interesting one. Right, Brendan. Past, present, future, final outcome. You've got. I don't know why they're leaning like that because they're actually straight on the table. I think it's because the camera's on an angle. Make them look a bit more even. Bit of a mixed bag here. You've got one major arcana which is sitting in the future, which is the Emperor, which is it's actually a nice card. So the future's looking quite good. Your present's a nice card. So is your past. It's just your final outcome's a little bit of an odd one. Right, so we'll start with the past first, which is the Two of Pentacles. Now the Pentacles, as I've said before, represent the material realm. The two, I always say, shows a balancing act. So I would say again, as I said in one of the previous things, I would say finances have been a bit of a juggle lately. You've had to keep your eye on money. I don't think it's to the fact where you've been totally broke, but I think you've had to watch the pennies a little bit more than you usually do. There's definitely a signifier there that there has been a juggling of the finances. I would say more so than the wider material thing. I'm definitely getting finances off that card this time. And money's been a little bit more tighter than what it could have been or should have been. Probably been a little bit of a worry to you as well, and that is why it's signified in this, in this way. It has been something that's been a bit, been important to you recently, and it is recent past. It's gone now from what I can see with the next card, but there's just this little bit of a juggling act going on with finance, or has been going on with finances, or maybe there's been that worry that maybe you're starting to worry that the books weren't going to balance. But from what I can see, Brendan, I think things have turned out okay by your present card. But like I say, not much you can really do about the past card because it's in the past sort of thing. But it's just signified that for some reason this juggling has been playing on your mind a bit lately, and this is what's been leading you to take and make the decisions you've been making. Now moving on to your present is really interesting because you've got the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords is the start of new beliefs or ideas. In this case, I think it is the start of new ideas. And I think what this is saying is that there is something stuck in your head, Brendan, that now is the time to make use of. And I think it may help by relating back to your past card. There is something in your head now, or there is an idea that has been recently budding in your head that is going to help prevent that situation with the money juggling from happening again. And this is in your present, is sitting in your present. This beginning of a new idea it's very, very important, and it's definitely an idea you should run with because it has come up in the cards. Can't tell you what it is, but I'm definitely getting the impression that it is linked. It is going to be an idea that is going to be a financial benefit to you. Brendan, is definitely linked. It's definitely linked to that juggling of finances, but in the present, he's saying now is the time to implement this idea you've got. It's the ideal time to do it. Is now in the present. Don't leave it any longer because the opportunity may pass. But there is definitely an opportunity at the moment that you are currently aware of that you need to grasp and you need to run with now, because it will actually, benefit you in the long term. Okay, definitely the beginnings of new ideas. Very, very positive card to have in the present. Very positive. I don't know what it is, but it's saying go with it now because it will help you on a financial level, Brendan. So just be aware of it. Now, leading into the future, you've got the Emperor. Now, the Emperor is a really good card to have in the future because the Emperor is a sign of... that's right, I've got messages popping up off YouTube. It's a sign of success and conquering things. So it is saying whatever this idea is, Brendan, this is why you need to do it now, because the success lying in the future. Now, I ain't saying you're going to become, it's going to make you multi-million-pound whatever money in whatever it is you're doing, but there is going to be success in whatever this idea is as long as you start it now, because you're linked directly to the Emperor, and the Emperor is your only major arcana card in the reading, and the Emperor is a signal of conquest and success. So it's overcoming problems, and this is what is showing in the future, that you're going to overcome all these problems that have recently occurred in regards to finances, and there is going to be a lot of success there. There's going to be a lot of contentment. You're basically going to be king of your own castle, is what that card says. Again, it also signifies the male aspects of things, but in this respect, I don't think this relates to this reading. I think the things we're getting off this card is the actual conquest and success and being king of your own castle, and this solidifying your castle walls around you sort of thing. What it's saying is your future is going to be very, very secure as long as you act on things now, because it's your way forward. If you do not act on what you believe now, then the opportunity could pass, because that is what your final outcome is showing. I'll get onto that in a second. But at the moment, it's definitely showing, to sum up the past, present, and future, that money's recently been tight. Things are picking up a bit now in the future. There are ideas that need to be moved on now that will help you on a financial level, but they need to be acted upon now. It's really important that you act upon them within the next couple of months for them to be of any effect. If you do, leading into the future, there's very much a pointer of success there, as signified by the Emperor sitting on his throne sort of thing. It's security, conquest and success. Very much so the card of success. Very similar to the Earth card or the World card, whichever one you want to call it. But there is definitely success for you sitting in the future. Now, your final outcome, Brendan, this is the really, really interesting one, because again, you've got the Ten of Swords. Now, normally, I always say with the suits, the Tens are quite a positive card, whereas this one, the Swords 10, is the only one that has a little bit of negativity associated to it. And if it falls in the final outcome, a lot of the times, depending on what it's sitting next to, it comes more as an advisory than as a prediction. And in this case, I'm getting that it is this advisory level it's coming through on. And what that signifies to me is a death of ideas and a stagnation of things. And if you don't act upon ideas, then eventually they die out. And this is what that is. This card is most definitely reinforcing your Ace of Swords in the present. And it's saying that these ideas will die if you don't act on them now. And they are reinforcing the success thing of the Emperor, saying that if you don't act and if you don't achieve the Emperor, the equivalent is the death of ideas. And that is what's signified by the man lying on the floor with the 10 swords stabbed through him. Basically, all his ideas have done is they've killed him off in the end, is what it's saying. And it is definitely opportunities wasted. And that is what that final outcome card is saying to me at the moment, is you need to act upon these things, because otherwise they are going to be opportunities missed, and they are going to be very significant opportunities missed, and they are going to significantly change your life path. So whatever it is you've got planned, or what you've been thinking about recently, or any ideas you've currently got spinning around in your head for things to do, run with them, Brendan. Really run with them, because they're going to be very successful if you do. If you don't, the world's going to pass you by, and they are not going to. The opportunity to carry them out will not come round again anytime soon. Okay, so that last card is definitely coming as an advisory or a warning card rather as an actual prediction. So just keep that in mind for now, Brendan. But again, quite a nice reading. Nothing overly negative in there. Like I say, the first bit was a little bit, shaky, but it had already passed anyway, so it ain't a problem. But it's that advisory on the end is the one you've really got to concentrate on, because it is telling you that there's going to be opportunities lost if you don't act. But like I say, an advisory or a warning, not a prediction. So just take that on board, but run with whatever's going in your head at the moment, Brendan, because that's your way forward for now. So I hope that helped. I'm in a bad set of cards tonight, Andy. Now I've said that, something horrible will happen. I've probably just wished something horrible on somebody.
Well, you've got 4 people it could happen to you. Next up, we've got Andy K.
Right, okay. You're welcome, Brendan. You're more than welcome. Right, Andy. Past, present, future, final outcome. Again, this one's a bit of a mixed bag. I believe the first 2 cards, even though they're past and present, I do genuinely believe they're linked together very strongly. And I also believe the last 2, which is present and final outcome, are also very strongly linked together. I'm getting 2 pairs here with these cards and the way they sit. So there's definitely 2 lots of 2 reinforcing each other. Okay, so we'll start with the past. Now the past is showing that recently on an elf level or the physical level, and I always do think that this is elf with this one, because if you look, the guy looks like, even though it's an hat on his head, I always think it looks like he's got a bandage wrapped around his brow. So I would say there has definitely been a little bit of a battle recently regarding elf that has probably left you feeling a little bit battered. Okay, there's definitely been a lot of turmoil on the elf level recently, which is not the most positive of things, and I do think that it has been quite a battle for you, Andy, and probably not one that you've led on to with. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Why I think these 2 cards are connected. Okay, um, there's just this really strong. Right. Well, yeah. It's elf. It's elf. It's just your elf. Right. This is what I'm getting, and there's been this battle. Right, now I'm going to link in your present card, okay, Andy, because I think it is still ongoing to a point at the moment. And when this card came out in the reading previously, it had got the positive aspects. I'm getting the negative aspects with this one, and this is why I'm saying these 2 cards are linked, because I think this is still ongoing, and I think the support that could be offered there, that either you are not taking advantage of, Andy, or is not being offered to you. And I think this is from a couple of levels. I think it's from a professional level, but I also think it's from a social level. I think at the moment you're in a situation where professional bodies aren't giving the help that you need. They are literally passing you by and ignoring you. And the same, I'm getting the same impression from family and friends. Now, when it comes to family and friends, I don't know whether that's something you're doing to cause it to happen. I don't know whether you're keeping quiet and not telling people what's been going on, so they don't give you the support because they don't realise that you need it, or they are deliberately ignoring it because they don't know how to deal with it. But I'm definitely getting this element where help is not being offered on from a number of areas, and I'm getting it from both a professional viewpoint, as in the medical professions, but I'm also getting it from a family and friend point as well. That members of the family aren't actually giving the support that they could give you, but I'm not necessarily saying that's their fault, Andy, because I'm not quite sure. But you're not getting it off them for one reason or another, and it's either they're choosing to ignore the issue for whatever reason, or you are deliberately concealing the issue from them. Okay? But this is why I'm saying these 2 are linked. but these are definite revolving a lot round health. These first two, which is really really interesting. Right now, moving into your future, Andy, this is where things start to get more interesting, because there's definitely going to be a swing from of the scales from one side to the other. Okay. Professional bodies are sending out the police to the wrong people and wanting me inside a padded room. Family are lost and trying but incapable. Okay. But that's what I'm getting off them two cards, Andy. Right now, what I'm going to tell you, Andy, might come as a bit of a shock to you, but sometime in the future, family and friends are going to be pretty much your road to redemption. Your something to do with family is going to become very, very important to you in the future. And this is the way that things are going to improve for you, because you've got the couple there with the two kids. The couple have got their arms around each other and they're throwing their arms up in the air, and you get this joyous family image off this card. You've also got the rainbow, but within the rainbow is the 10 emotion, the 10 cups, which signify, the complete range of emotions, as in the complete range of colours in what's it. And it's like, the family is going to reach the point where the complete range of emotions are acknowledged, if you can understand that, and there's going to be a lot more acceptance coming from the family, and the family are definitely going to be your road to redemption, Andy. This card can also signify a new relationship as well. And this is the other thing I'm getting, Andy, is I'm getting the impression that somebody is going to come into your life that is going to be very important to you, and they're either going to be a very, very close friend, or they are going to turn out to be a partner. But I'm getting the impression, either way, whether they're just very good friend or whether they turn out to be romantic partner, that it's female. Either way, it's going to be either a very good female friend is going to be your path to redemption, or it's somebody you're going to meet and they're going to become a partner, and then you're going to get that family element coming in. But whatever way it is, it is like these two sets of two cards literally flip over. They flip from the getting no help from people around you to getting all the help you need from people around you. But this is coming in the future, Andy, within the next 6 months. There's definitely going to be this turnaround where the people around you are going to accept the complete range of emotions that come off you, because that is what is represented by the cup in the all the cups in the rainbow. The rainbow represents the full spectrum of colours. Because the cups are within the rainbow, they represent the full spectrum of the emotions. And it's like that couple are, they're embracing them all. They've got their arms flung up, embracing them all. And this is why I'm saying, there's definitely help coming, Andy. There's definitely help coming from the family. But I've got this impression off this card that there is also going to be either a very, very close female friend or a romantic partner coming in. Okay? Now I'm leaning more to the romantic partner because of your final outcome, which is the Four of Cups. And again, I always say that cloud signifies a gift out of the blue. And because they're offering you emotion, it's almost like people are giving... Somebody unexpected is offering you their emotions. They're giving you their heart, sort of thing. Totally unexpected and looked for. The Three Cups in front of you that you're looking at also signifies that there's extra support there that is right in front of you. But there is also this person there's this emotional support coming from the side, out of the blue, from a totally unexpected source. And I definitely believe it is linked to this very good female friend or female partner that's coming into your life sometime in the future. This is where everything is leading to. And what it is saying to me, Andy, is don't push this person away, because this person is going to be very, very important. They are going to be a solution to all your problems, or they're at least going to be a solution to all the problems you've got now. I ain't saying they're going to be the holy grail of everything you need, but they are definitely going to have a very, very positive impact upon your life, and it's definitely coming from somewhere you don't expect it. And that is what's signified as the cup being offered out of the cloud. I always say the cloud represents the unexpected and not expecting it to appear, and the hand is offering your emotion. So that is what makes me think it is probably a romantic thing, because of the 10 sitting next to it. had it have been, even though it's the family card, it's showing the family as in a couple with their kids. That's why I'm getting a romantic thing from it. Had it have been one of the other family cards, I would have said it would probably have been more of a friend offering. But for this, I'm getting a romantic offering. But it is definitely saying in that final outcome, Andy, do not push this offer away, even though there may be a tendency or a fear there to let go and accept it. You know that your way forward is to actually accept this emotional attachment, because it's going to be really, really good for you. Really, really good for you. And it's not a bad one at all, Andy. It's not a bad reading. Like I say, the first bit is just explaining what's going on now, where that, even though people are aware there's no real help there, but it is literally going to flip on its head in the second. It flips on its head in the second half of this reading, and where it goes from no family help and no relationship help and no professional help, it goes to the complete opposite in the last two cards. And that is why I said the first two and the last two cards were linked. The last two are linked together and the first two are linked together. But definitely there's going to be a drastic improvement to come in the future. And I'd say it will start within the next 6 months. Next 6 months. Okay, but you're more than welcome with that, Andy. Not a bad reading at all, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind having one like that. There's definitely vast improvements to come anyway. Do you want to see my finger now, Andy?
Go on, man.
That is as straight as I can get it, look. Lovely, innit?
I'll just let it catch up so I can see it.
I physically cannot straighten that finger. That is what my finger's stuck for life now. You should see it in a minute. It'll pop up. Has it popped up yet?
No, not yet. You're only just taking cards away on my screen.
Oh, right, okay.
Alright, it's there, look.
That is the straightest that finger is ever going to go again. I can bend it.
Yeah.
I can bend it to hook it, into a fist. But that is the straightest I can actually get it.
Wow.
That is it. I can't bend it up the other way like I can my other one. I'll be very popular with Jace with that finger now, and I can pick locks with it as well.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's the weird finger, Dorothy. That is what I've got to live with for the rest of my life. I'm deformed.
Oh, dear.
I'm not the Hunchback of Notre Dame now, or Frankenstein's monster. Stop laughing, Andy. You're supposed to give me sympathy, not... You're supposed to say, oh, don't worry, Brett, it'll all turn out fine in the end. Not sit there giggling.
I want to tattoo some stitches around it for you.
You can do if you want.
Oh dear.
Actually, you can put some little segments on it and some eyes at the end. It'll look like a little inchworm then. No, it ain't going to get any better, Tammy. That is what I've got to put up with now for the rest of my life. That is it. Even with the brace on, it goes straight. As soon as I take the brace off, it flops back into that curve again. There's no... Stop laughing. Actually, where is my brace? I'll put it on for a bit. Ugh. Just to keep it straight for tonight. I've been keeping it off for like 24 hours, but yeah, it could be worse. No, I wouldn't care if that was bent either, and it would reach the parts other beers wouldn't reach then. Oh, and if this cigarette goes out one more time, who's next then, Andy?
Stephen.
Stephen Dennis?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to make a feature out of it, Tracy. Like I say, I might have a little inchworm tattooed onto it. But I'm waiting until it's healed up properly because it's still a bit tender sometimes when I touch it. Get in the kitchen if you're going to make silly noises. Right, Stephen. Past, present, future, final outcome. This is a really interesting one because you've got three pentacle cards there, and then in your future you've got one of the major arcana sitting there in the form of the Chariot. Um, Really odd one, this, because this is definitely a financial reading, most definitely. Um, it's really odd as well because you've got the King of Pentacles sitting there in your past. Now, normally the king represents the pinnacle and success in finances, but what I'm actually getting off that card at the moment is the complete jumble of that picture. So it seems to me that finances are all over the place at the moment. Is what this reading's saying, that there's absolute chaos surrounding finances. Um, I've got to be careful how much I say here, but I'll just say with that past card is I'm getting a lot of chaotic impressions off that card, and because it's the Pentacle card, it is it is the material level. So and because you've got three of them, I would definitely say it's falling into money rather than the general material realm. It is definitely falling into finances. So it is definitely showing that finances have been very much of a concern to you lately. There is definitely this element of chaos surrounding that card, almost to the point that you may have been really worried about finances recently. Not just not just minor niggles. I think you may have been really worried about money, and I know with the situation going on, people have been worrying about the financial stability. But that, Stephen, is that I'm just getting chaos off that card, absolute chaos. To the point that it's been really, 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 money has been really, really worrying you. And I don't know whether you need to worry about you've needed to worry about money, and or maybe you've worried that things are worse than they actually are. But what that's saying to me is, in the recent past, money has been a very significant worry to you. Okay. Right, now the good news is, Stephen, moving into the present, you've got the Four of Pentacles. Now, like I've said, the Pentacles is very much a balanced card to me. And what I'll say to you is, even if money has been really, really tight lately, there is going to be some kind of easing of the pressure here, because your present is showing a balance in the financial type of things. I ain't saying that money's got better to the point where it's brilliant, but there is something that's happened, or there is something that's about to happen, that is going to take a lot of that pressure off you concerning finances. There's going to be a little bit more stability there, Stephen. Like I say, I don't know whether it's already happened or whether it's about to happen, but it's definitely sitting well and truly in the present. So there is going to be some kind of easing off of the pressure here. Maybe there's going to be help coming from the peak, because you got all that stuff in the background, almost like gifts. So I don't know whether you're going to be receiving stuff off people, not necessarily money, but it may be that you're going to be receiving stuff off somebody that is going to help relieve the financial burden. Okay, or at least help get rid of some of the worry that you've been worrying about it recently. Okay. Right, now moving into the future, this is where things get really interesting, because your future is where your major arcana card is sitting, and you've got the Chariot. Now the Chariot is it's one of these cards that's got many, many meanings. It's a neutral card normally, so it can have either positive or negative um, aspects. Because it's surrounded by two positive cards, I'm taking it that the Chariot has a positive aspect. So what that is saying to me is there is going to be change, Stephen, connected to finances, because the rest of your reading is all your other three cards are definitely financial cards, and there is definitely movement within your finances, and the Chariot signifies control. So what that is saying to me is that in the future, that this balance that you're going to achieve now, there is going to be even stronger control coming up in the future. Oh, Hang on, my alarm's just gone off.
Hi there.
Sorry.
It's currently 20.
Shut up. You're going to take more of a tighter control over your finances. Your finances in this card are signified by the sphinxes at the bottom, the black and white sphinxes. They're both pulling apart in different directions, but the charioteer, if you look, has got the reins firmly under control so that they are not dashing off in different directions. So that is where the control element of the chariot comes in. You've also, the chariot is also a card, obviously, of movement, and I would say it's probably the most significant card when it comes to representing movement. And this is why I say there's going to be a big change in the financial situation, Stephen. There's going to be big movement there, as signified by the chariot. But it definitely reinforces this thing about taking control, and it is saying in the future you're going to reach this point where you've got a better control over finances, so money is definitely going to improve in the future, or there's going to be better control over money in the future. Again, it's reinforcing back to the present and the four, where there's this gradual improvement with your four, this balancing, and then it speeds up into the future to the point where money ain't gonna be so much of a worry to you. There's going to be that element of control. Now your final outcome there, you've got the Six of Pentacles. Now this I always call this the charity card, Stephen, right? And I think this one has come very much as an advice to you. And um, I'll put it bluntly, but I'll put it delicately to you, Stephen. I'm getting off this card at the moment is, okay, what your cards have suggested in the past and the present. This card is saying, don't be too proud to accept charity at the moment, because charity is not something that you need to be ashamed of. And I don't know whether you've been, a little bit reluctant to accept help off people and the charity of other people, because everybody's got that, that opinion of themselves where they don't want to see themselves as a burden or anything, and they're too proud to accept it. But I would say this card is definitely saying, do not be afraid to accept the charity of others at the moment, Stephen, because sometime in the future, when things are okay for you, you are going to have the opportunity to pay it forward, and you're going to be able to be in a position to offer somebody else charity. So what it's saying at the moment is, accept any charity that is offered to you. Don't be ashamed about accepting it. Do not turn it away out of pride, because that is not the answer at the moment. There are people there who will help you. You've just got to make sure that you take the hand of friendship, even if it's people lending you money or giving you food or whatever it is. Take the charity at the moment, because things are tight and things are difficult. But don't be proud to accept it, because sometime in the future there is going to come a point where you are going to be able to reverse that, and you're going to be able to pay it forward. Okay, Steve? Alright, okay, something has changed with the financial, right? Okay. But that's definitely a charity card, and it's saying accept charity now, because in the future, charity you will be able to pay it forward. You'll be able to pay that charity forward, and you will be able to help somebody who is in the situation that you are in now. Okay, because of the understanding of you being at that point, it will put you in a position sometime in the future to pay that charity forward and make somebody else's life better, to get them past the point that you currently are now. Okay, Stephen, so I hope that helped. But definitely take note of that last card, because it is definitely saying, don't be ashamed of accepting this charity wherever it's offered, because you may need it right now. So just keep that in mind. Okay, how many we got left, Andy?
Just two left.
Okay, who we got left?
We've got Alison,
Right.
and I don't know if is it spelled Rowena.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Give him a good shuffle. I've just threw all the bloody cards on the floor. And I'm keeping them on the top because they all flew out. Right, so is this Alison next?
Yeah.
My fag's gone out again, my coffee's ice cold. Oh look, I fell side by side again, but in different order. Okay, Alison, past, present, future, final outcome. Um, Interestingly, Alison, is your past card. You've got no major arcana cards in this; they're all minor arcana cards. So there's no particular time period with this reading that it's saying take particular notice of, because they're all they're all minor arcana. So there's no major thing there. Right, we'll start with the past. Right, we'll start off with the Eight of Cups. Now, this one to me, Alison, always shows that you're either um, there's some kind of emotional block there, or you're turning your back on emotions that you should really be addressing. It's almost like there's an issue there on an emotional level that you're too frightened to face, and this is in your past, and this has happened recently, Alison. It's almost like this card is saying to me there has been some kind of an emotional crisis has gone on. Okay, I think it's been something very significant, almost to the point it could have pushed you over the edge. But something has definitely been of a major upset to you in the recent past, and it's something of an emotional level because it's the cups, and the person is you standing with your back to them, and it's almost like in some readings I say the person is walking away from them, but in this reading I'm getting the intuitive thing I'm getting off this card is rather than walking away, you've just turned your back and you're ignoring. So something has recently gone on with you that I would say has been troubling you on an emotional level, and you've refused to deal with it, even though you know. Um, no problem, Brendan. You can get on with what you got to do. Thanks for coming in. You have a good night. You've definitely turned your back on this emotional problem, Alison, and I think you may have turned your back on the chance or the offer of emotional support from people. There has been somebody there. I don't think there's been 8 people there, but there has definitely been some form of emotional support there that you have either shunned or you have deliberately ignored until they've stopped offering it for whatever reason. But this is a past thing, Alison, but it is definitely recent past. So just bear it in mind, because now, moving into the present, you've got the Two of Swords, and this is like your blind decision crossroads card. And what it's saying is, because of what you've done, Alison, you have now got yourself into a situation where a decision has got to be made, and you don't know the outcome one way or the other. You're probably feeling a little bit lost at the moment, feeling a little bit on your own with whatever's going on, and there's definitely worry there, but there is a decision to be made, and it is saying now is the time to make it. Can't tell you what it is, but the blindfold is always significant in this card, and I think what normally I say it's a blind decision. This time I think the blindness is representing your previous card, the past, of how you've blinded yourself to help or offers that were there. And it's saying now, because of this blindness, because you've blinkered yourself or deliberately ignored something that needed dealing with, you've reached this point now where the decision has got to be made on it. There's no turning your back on it any longer, Alison. The decision has got to be made, and you've either got to go down one path or the other. But it has definitely come as a result of you blinkering yourself. That blindfold in the two represents, again, it represents the back turning with the cups. It's not representing a blind decision. I think the choices are very clear to you, but by you blinkering yourself, you have actually forced yourself into this decision, and this decision needs to be made sometime now. You know, within the next few months. There's no holding back on it any longer. The decision's got to be made. It's almost like fate is forcing the decision upon you. It's saying you've blinded yourself to the matter for so long now. No longer circumstances now dictate you've got to make the decision. Right, now Alison, I will tell you, the decision you've got to make links with your future card, which is the Seven of Swords. And what I will say here is, you've got to, the Six of Swords, sorry, you've got to dump old ideas, okay? And this decision means you've got to, you've got to, and I think this is saying that your way forward, Alison, is letting go of personal pride, because I think stubbornness has been carrying you forward, but stubbornness is not having a positive impact on you, it's having a negative impact, and it's time to dump the emotion, not the emotional baggage, the idea baggage. It is an idea you've got fixed in your head that you have refused to address, and it is causing you problems. And it's saying in the future, you have got to dump it. You've got to get rid of it, Alison, because it is forming a major block in your life at the moment. And I think this decision is going to be where you've got two decisions. I think whatever decision you make now is leading to this future card where you're going to have no choice but to drop the pig-headedness and humble yourself a little bit, get rid of these negative ideas and opinions, dump them, because that is your way forward, because that is what's holding you back at the moment. You are holding yourself back in your head, Alison. Okay? I hope you understand that. Now, your final outcome is a good one, because you've got the King of Wands, and the King of Wands represents the physical, but because he's the King, he's the ultimate card. So for me, this says that things are going to turn out right. If you get rid of this blockage, it is the pathway for improvements on the physical level, and that includes health. So I would say that this card is saying to you, there are improvements there for you on your health level, but you've got to get past this stubborn thinking, because it's actually in your head more so than in the physical where the problems are at the moment. And you've got to get past these mental thoughts and processes to improve the physical health. Okay, Alison, but because it's the King, it's a really, really positive card to finish on, and it is saying the improvements are theirs for the taking. You've just got to get past this future card at the moment, which is the guy rowing out with all this intellectual baggage on this boat. But you've definitely got to dump it, Alison. It's got to be gone. It's saying you've carried it for too long and you're going to carry it into the future, but stubbornness needs to go and you need to get rid of it. It all needs to go, because the mental is causing problems in the physical, and I think you'll understand that when I say that. And you've got to find some way of getting rid of the mental to improve the physical, and that is what the King of Wands is promising. Okay, so I hope that helps you, Alison. Again, not an overly negative one. That to me is just coming across more as a telling off reading rather than an advisory. It's telling you to pull your finger out type reading. Okay. So you've been spanked by the tarot cards. Right, who's the last one? Was it Rowena, did you say, Andy?
It is, yeah.
I still can't get over you cackling over my finger.
Alison's asking now, what did you do to your finger?
I got it snagged in a jacket. In Jason's jacket. And as he spun sideways, my snapped the tendon in my finger. I should have strangled him for it, but my hands was hurting too much at the time. I wouldn't have been able to strangle him if I'd have wanted to. Now, if we're talking about altering the mind consciousness, I'd be right there with you. Oh, that'd be a nice subject to talk about after the cards, Andy. That'd be interesting to ask people what they think on that. Yeah, I've snapped the tendon, Alison. It's been in that splint for nearly 4 weeks now. I had a lovely little trip to Rotherham Hospital and sat with all the criminals handcuffed to policemen. Clingy Brett. No, it weren't Jace's fault. He slipped sideways and I grabbed him and yanked my finger. Oh, that's it, Rowena. You're going to get possessed. Okay. Right, here we go. Past, present, future, final outcome. Interesting thing with this one, Rowena, is you've got two major arcana cards. You've got one sitting in the present, which means things that are going on at the moment. Can do that, Brett. Tell them of the experience last April, May time too. Okay, Andy. And you've also got a major arcana sitting in your final outcome. Now, if a major arcana falls in the final outcome, it means that that card has a significant impact on the entire reading. And the devil is a strange card, especially when it sits there. So this is all going to depend on now on what I get off these first three as to what I finally pick up off that devil. Okay, right. Now we'll start with the past. Now, I genuinely think that Queen of Cups represents you, Rowena. Now the Queen of Cups, because she's the cup, she represents the emotional. Now that means that you are somebody who is very much ruled by the heart than the head, to the point where if you look at that, she almost looks like you're she almost looks like she's worrying over someone who's got her head in her hand and looking down and not looking particularly happy sitting on a throne. And I would say to me that recently you've been through a period of emotional worry. That is what I'm getting. That I'll put it that way. There's been some kind of emotional worry that has been very, very significant with you, Rowena, to the point it has probably almost controlled your life. Okay, that is what I'm getting off that card. There has been almost to the point it causes an emotional draining. Okay, an over worrier is what I'm getting off that. Nervous exhaustion. That is probably the best way to describe it. That is what I'm getting off that card, and what's been surrounding you recently is there's too much emotional going on around you, Rowena. You've been a little bit too emotional to the point you could probably appear a little bit shrewish to people, or a little bit too oversensitive, and you've been finding this a little bit of a problem. Okay, other people they've probably been avoiding you because they've probably been worried about setting you off on an emotional level. You've probably been shedding a lot of tears lately over the silliest of things. People could say the most innocent of comments to you, and you would literally take it right to heart to the point that you'd get upset and cry. And that is what I'm getting in your recent past and how you've been. Right, now Rowena, the good thing is, into the present we move into the sun. Now the sun is a major arcana and it's one of the astral cards and it's always positive. Now the sun it's like spring. There's the rebirth element of the sun coming in and out, right? Okay. There's also the warmth, and you've also got the child open armed galloping across a field that's sprouting all sorts of weird and wonderful green herbs. Um, and it's very much a celebration card. So I think at the moment, Rowena, you're probably just breaking out of this mental anguish stage, and you're moving into a phase of your life where things are feeling a little bit more warm and sunny. It's almost like spring has brought the change in you as well. It's like you've been in like your own little personal winter for so long, and now the sun's coming out, the little shoots are coming up, and you yourself are starting to change, and things are starting to move along a bit better now, and you're starting to find that little bit more of balance in your life. Um, Time to celebrate yourself a little bit more as well, because I think the other thing that the sun can say is that people who are overcritical, then is now the time for them to bloom a little bit themselves, like the sun rises every morning and shines its light. It's time for you to to let your own light shine a little bit. So come out from your shell, Don't be oversensitive. Don't take things to heart. Now is the time that things are definitely improving for you. So not a bad card sitting in the future. Right, moving on to the into the present. Sorry, moving into the future. You've got the two of wands again. This is a physical card, and to me, this one again is showing decision times. Okay, and it's saying it's time for sometime in the future. You have got to take a long, hard look at things on the physical level for you, Rowena. Okay, because there are decisions to be made there, as is signified by the two wands either side of you. You've got one either side, and you're standing in between the two. So what it's saying is that there are things there that need to be considered on the physical level, because you're probably not doing yourself very good with what you've been doing recently, and you're now moving into this period where things are changing and brightening up. But what this future card is saying is, at some point you've got to stop and take stock, because otherwise you'll go too much to the other extreme, and you'll go from totally miserable to forced happiness type of thing. And what it's saying is, sometime in the future, for your own well-being, you've got to pause a second, find your own balance, and stick to it. Okay, and that is what that future card is representing. It is saying, stop, pause, take a breath, take stock, and find your own perfect balance between the two ones, because that is going to be very, very important to you. Because I do think you are a person that tends to go between extremes, and that is what this third card is signifying, that you have to pause and find a balance between the two ones, that you stand equidistant between the two elements of too little and too much. You've got to find your own balance there, because otherwise you're going to have problems on the physical levels. Right, your final outcome is the devil, and again, major arcana card. And again, I think this is a warning card, and it is saying that if you do not take stock sometime in the future, you are going to trap yourself in an endless vicious circle, where you're going to be your own jailer. You are going to be in this constant circle of happiness, misery, happiness, misery, happiness, misery, because you are not finding a balance in your life. You are literally jumping from one point to another, and you've got to find that balance sometime in the future, where that you are in perfect harmony with the two extremes in you as a person. You've got to find that middle ground, because otherwise you are literally going to trap yourself in this endless vicious circle. And the devil is a symbol of entrapment and bondage, not necessarily by the devil or evil. It can signify self-entrapment or a situational entrapment, and I do believe in this case it is the vicious circle element and the bondage and the entrapment on a self level that is coming through here. And this is the warning. It is saying, be very, very careful, because this balance is important to attain, because otherwise you're never going to change, Rowena. Things are never going to get any better for you. You're just going to be stuck in this endless cycle. The only person who's going to change this now is you, and that is what that devil is. That devil is very much a warning and an advisory card in your final outcome, and it's saying, you're your own jailer. It's up to you to break the chains, and the only way you're going to break the chains, and the only way you're going to stop this vicious circle, is to find your own balance in life. Because your future is showing that those two ones signify your two extremes, and I do believe you get on an emotional level, you are going from one extreme to the other, rather than finding the middle ground. You're bouncing from one to the other with no in between ground. And that is what that devil is warning, that it is a vicious cycle that you are stuck in, and you are going to be forever stuck in, unless you take a pause, find your balance, and stop it yourself. So I hope that helped, and I believe that was the last reading, Andy.
Yeah, a lot.
Oh, that's good. I can have a swig now. We will swap to the main screen now, because I'm going to invite Sam up as well. So if you want to babble for a few seconds, Andy, while I sort out pulling Sam into the conversation, and
Yeah,
then
no worries.
and
Do you know
you,
what, Brett?
what?
I've just nearly had a little mini heart attack.
Why?
Because, do you know, like, I've got a couple of decks of tarot, and I've got that Salvador Dali one.
Yeah.
Well, I've just had a look how much that they're going for them, and they're going for between 5 and 900 quid.
Yeah, I know. Some of them are absolutely disgusting, Andy. The prices of them.
I got them for a tenner at Antique Centre.
Well, don't moan about it. You got a bargain with them, right? I'm just calling Sam now.
Yeah, well, like, look at that. I might have to try and shift them on.
You're welcome, Rowena. You're more than welcome. Has that rang Sam yet? Calling Sam yet? Sam, I hope you've got your Skype turned on. Earth calling Sam. Answer the phone, Sam. You said you would have your Skype on, Sam. Has she come in yet? If not, I'll call her again in a second. The deck that I've got at my mother's somewhere, I've got 2 decks at my mother's actually. The one is the Tarot de Marseille, and the other deck is the Swiss 1JJ deck. And that was the very first deck I started with, was the Swiss 1JJ. Right, Andy, I'm going to try and add Sam again.
Alright.
Because she didn't answer her phone the first time. Oh, hang on, she's here. Are you here, Sam?
Hello.
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 Right, I'll switch scenes now then.
I need to go and mute my.
Hang on, I need to change the properties on mine. Because for some reason it's not showing me. Can everybody still hear me on this screen? I know you two will be able to.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not showing our camera for some. Oh, hang on. Let's see if that changes things. Hopefully people can hear me. Can you just say in chat whether you can hear me or not, please? Please tell me everybody can still hear me. Everybody still hear us okay? I can see Sam. Are you still here, Andy?
Yeah. I'm here.
That's okay then. Right, can you hear us all okay? Yabble, 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 yabble. Hello, 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 hello. Right, that's okay then. They can hear us. That's okay then. Right, we're on the other screen now. So, for some reason, Sam likes to keep changing size on a webcam. I don't know why.
I had changed down to the end of the room there, and I thought it would be a bit of a change, but there was too many creepy dolls and cases staring at me.
Right, okay. Have you been doing anything interesting today, Sam?
No, I actually had a sort of a kind of an off day, if you know what I mean.
See, at that point, Sam, you're supposed to say, yeah, I had a great day, Brett.
Apart from that, it was great.
To be honest with you, I think all this lockdown's getting to everybody now. I think everybody's reaching the point where they, everybody's finding it difficult. It can't be.
Yeah.
Right, what should we talk about tonight? What was that subject we were going to talk? Right, yeah, that was it, Andy. Do you believe that it is possible for the conscious mind to influence the physical world?
Well, I've got to say yes.
Right, okay, why?
Because of my beliefs in witchcraft and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got to say yeah, and I don't think it can be on a massive scale, but I think we again it always comes back to the intent, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, the whole practice of thought manifestation. You know, for stuff you want.
Yeah.
Like people put them, for example, they put them boards together with like, oh, I want this car and I'd like to have this sort of amount of money by the end of the year, and they'll look at them every morning, don't they? You know, to try and manipulate the universe to provide this stuff. I think that's pretty cool, and that all lends back to old pagan ways, and ways. So yeah, I think there could be something in it.
So do you believe that we could say, like, bring something into this existence, be it totally created by us or through total willpower, pull something in from somewhere else?
Yeah.
As in, like, when people have got this belief that, oh, you always pull evil through on the Ouija board. Could that be an aspect of it, that people are literally, because people expect evil to turn up on the Ouija board, they're actually pulling it in, so to speak?
Maybe. If it's a trustworthy thing, if, I don't know, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Let me just see if I can get that camera working on me. What do you think, Sam? What's your opinion on that?
It's very difficult to know. I know, I have. I'm kind of sensitive in a way that if I'm thinking of somebody so much, I can pick up when they're, for some reason I can pick up when they're not in a good way.
Right.
It's happened a number of times.
Mm-hmm.
So if people have that kind of power, there must be some sort of a possibility.
Yeah.
And then I asked myself, that lady, was she in Russia or somewhere? Where she was moving stuff with her power of her mind.
Yeah.
In a glass case and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it that most of us are not using a part of the brain that can do these things?
Because I think they estimate there only is about 10% of our total brain power, don't we, at the moment?
The rest is Google.
You're right there.
Yeah.
What do you think's going on with that other 90% of our brain, Andy? Because when they've done, especially when they've conducted experiments on people who claim to have psychic abilities, they have shown that there is activity in certain areas of these people's minds, particularly like the pineal gland and stuff like that. They're showing increased activity compared to what is normally expected. Do you believe that people who say they have got psychic abilities, be they clairvoyant, clairaudient, telepathic, psychokinetic or whatever, do you believe that it is occurring because they're using a part of their brain that normal people are not accessing?
I don't know. It's hard to say, isn't it? Because there's a lot of people out there that disregarding that theory now, that we're only using 10%. Because they say with brain scanners and that there's quite a lot on it lit up in certain circumstances, and I don't know. I think I once read there's never been actually any proof that it's only that small of a number. Can't side influences have got a lot to do with it as well, like dampening.
Yeah.
All sort of chemicals and diet and have got an influence on dampening it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But
it's alright, I'm just trying to swap my levels around because people say I'm a bit crackly, but everything is set to like it normally is, so I don't know why. I don't know why I've gone all funny on the audio.
You see, like, like all like Shaolin monks and stuff that are like live really clean. They've got like excessive amounts of like will and brain power, haven't they?
Yeah.
where they kind of like withstand being pierced by blades and stuff, and and that's all to do with mind, isn't it? Mind over matter kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know.
We've got a bit of an echo going on as well, apparently. I don't know why. I'll put my mic as close to my mouth as I can, but it's up full at the moment. But for some reason, my camera won't activate, and I don't really want to turn the camera off because I'm worried I might lose the link on Skype if I turn it off. And I could turn it off and back on, but you'd lose me for a minute. But yeah, what's your opinion on that, Sam? Do you believe that people with psychic abilities are actually accessing this supposedly unused areas of the brain, or do you think it's somewhere else?
Well, the theory is that we all have the capabilities of psychic ability, and then most of us don't use it.
Yeah.
That's the only information I've got. So, it could be possible that part of the brain is not being used by a lot of us. It's the only thing that's been given to me, and that's the only thing I can tell you. You know, it's the only thing I can go by.
Yeah, because it's one of them things I always find, really, really interesting, because I remember reading once about it that they did this scientific study where they literally got psychics into the into hang on, let's see if that fixes my audio a bit better or not. They got psychics into let me cancel my audio source one. Is that better for people? Can they hear me better now? If not, I don't know whether the mic's on the way out. They actually did these readings on these psychics where they were measuring their actual brain waves as they were performing abilities, and the pineal gland and stuff like that, and areas of the brain that not normally were firing up on the CAT scans or whatever it is they use.
They use I remember getting something similar done myself because I um, was getting severe headaches and I was seeing blurs around everything. I was seeing halos around every single thing, and it's kind of like you get this. It's a rubber hat, and you got these sensors in it all over the thing, and it just maps your whole brain activity and stuff for a while.
Yeah.
But there is a such thing as uncontrolled psychic ability or uncontrolled sensitivity where you can't control when you sense things.
Mhm.
You know, I kind of I can walk down the street and I can sense when something's about to kick off,
Yeah.
and some of the times it does. It's I can't explain it. A friend I often do this kind of trick with a friend. He used to turn up unexpected, but I was always standing at the door, opening the door while he pulled up on the car.
Mhm.
And he says, I don't know how you keep doing that. I says, I don't know either. I just knew you were pulling up. Do you know? I don't know.
See,
You get this.
Andy's put something really interesting in the chat there. He's put, if you look at brain scans of people when they are sleeping or tripping, you will see there is way over 10% being used, Brett. Yeah, and see this would come into the sort of things we do occasionally, Andy.
Yeah.
Where you say certain things allow you to access levels that you wouldn't normally. And what Andy's put there actually ties in perfectly with all that.
Yeah. Well, when you think of the animal world, You know, they're very sensitive to vibration. They can sense earthquakes way before we can, and they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're, you know, the human beings is the ends up getting caught up in all this. So, is it possibility that animals are smarter than us? Are they using more of their brain than we are?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know?
Yeah, you know, because you got things like the birds migrating and stuff. They always know where to go. We know that they're using parts of their brain that are sensing electromagnetic. Magnetic. You know what I mean. I can't say it tonight. I'm tongue tied. They're using electromagnetism
Yes.
to direct themselves. You know,
Well, we're used.
you got whales with the sonar and the dolphins and stuff. I'm trying to mention dolphins in case Dorothy's still on. You got whales and dolphins. You know that are using sonar. Sharks have got electrosensitive noses. Again, they use electrosensory perceptions. So who's to say that
Bats as well with sound, isn't they?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and we're using Tom.
yeah. You know, so did humans used to have those abilities, or do we still have them? But they're all deadened because of technology. The advancements of technology have deadened the senses for us. You don't know, do you? And you know, maybe I personally I believe that everybody has a potential to have psychic traits. I just think that majority of people have because of social conditioning, they from a very young age they are taught to be ignored and stuff, and I think that's why kids tend to pick things up better. And you know, as you grow up, you develop these mental filters to stop them working. That's just my personal belief, and I think
Yeah, you're expected to follow a line
yeah,
in society, kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that, Andy?
Oh yeah, I agree. That's why I said we are outside influences. You know,
Mhm.
you've got your schooling. You know, your bloody things that we're putting into our bodies, and I mean, go clean, and you know, just living off nature. Would we go back? You know, if we
Mhm.
could. You know,
Right. Let's touch on something else that's just been mentioned in the chat as well. Um, plant assisted. I'm wording it nicely. Um, plant assisted sensory perception and things like hallucinatory mushrooms and stuff like that.
yep.
What do you think they are doing, Andy, to allow things to be seen and heard and experienced? How do you think the process is? What do you think they're doing to the body to allow us to transcend what we normally can see, hear, and touch?
I personally ain't got no idea.
You just know they work.
Well, well, it's a weird one because, like, obviously you've got to experiment with stuff
Yeah.
to get an understanding on it. You know,
Mhm.
um, I personally have never ever took a proper hallucinogenic.
Mhm.
Um, it's something I wanted to try with mushrooms,
Have you never have you
especially.
never have you never tried them?
No, ever.
I tried them once. It was not a pleasant experience.
But you know, again, you've got like I always say, there's variables to it because obviously the microdosing aspect
Mhm.
is meant to be a lot more pleasant than just going, you know, mad with them kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Um, and that itself, microdosing mushrooms, is called the playful nature side
Mhm.
of tripping. Now, you know, I'd love to see if it could open the spectrum up to see fair,
Right.
but I'd want to be guaranteeing I'm seeing the real thing and not a full on, you know,
Yeah.
hallucination
Yeah.
kind of thing. That's the only problem I've got with I'd need to know it when my brain making that up
Yeah.
due to hallucinogenic.
Mhm.
But it's a tough one. To understand it, you've really got to experiment. Because like people that take is it DMT and that, and they say
Yeah.
they go into other realms with like
Mhm.
extraterrestrials and
Yeah.
light beings that talk to them and that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds cool, but is it real?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
do we truly know because we know nature at drug that they're taking?
Mhm.
So it's a tough one. It's a
Yeah.
tough one to
Yeah. Kat says she
define.
totally agrees with me. I presume that's with the people breeding out their own or blocking out their own psychic abilities. Miss Q said they have made us dependent on gadgets. Totally agree with that, Miss Q. I think we have actually, our lives, although we all love the internet, I think technology has made our life a lot poorer in certain ways. James says all cultures have used certain plants to access the realms that we can't access under normal conditions. Selena agrees with Miss Q. Kat agrees with James. Um, Next step is implants or chips. So that's an whole new 5G world discussion, Selena. Jackie says in the 60s and 70s, when the plants were abused, some people didn't come back. Totally true, Jackie. Um, Miss Q says she was extremely intuitive in her younger days. I don't know whether it was a child of the 60s with LSD with that then. Uh, Andy says, right, an ex-stuntman in the States had to retire due to Parkinson's. Yet, oh, hang on, I need to go back up. I think the stuntman in the States had to retire due to Parkinson's, yet when he's tripping on LSD, he found he could still perform all his martial art moves, stopped after the trip. Yeah. Kat says absolutely, Andy, depends on surroundings, who's with you, etc. Microdosing is not supposed to be perceived, but it has been proven really beneficial for depression and anxiety when a person gets both. Andy K says, come visit Andy B, I'll get you sorted out, mate, lol. James says, the peyote and San Pedro ceremonies and the use of, oh, James, psilocybin in rituals are amazing to read about, as are whatever ritual that is. I ain't even going to attempt to pronounce that one. Joanne B says, yes, Andy, you need to know using your own senses rather than aids. Aids can be fun, Joanne. Miss Q, I had mushrooms once. I went from seeing in colour to black and white. I took my bat and ball and went home. I've actually tried mushrooms once in an experiment, and the TV kept creeping across the room toward getting closer when I weren't looking, and it scared the crap out of me. So I never actually found it a very pleasant experience. I can't say I actually saw anything um, on a paranormal level, apart from a telly like Evil Edna that kept trying to crawl across the floor towards me when I weren't looking. Alison says, okay, Brett, thanks. Looks like I've been spanked by a mangy finger, lol. Andy K. In the 90s, a scientific study was done on DMT and patients. Even the man behind it all ended up really curious. Why so many people who didn't interact gave the same stories. Yeah. Mushrooms and LSD haven't been proven have been proven to have killed anyone. I think that should be haven't. Scientific fact. James, DMT is supposed to give access to the realms of the Fae. Loads of people who have taken. Why do people keep using these big names? Dimethylhydropetamine, I think. Apparently experienced many encounters with the Fae. Have never been proved to have killed anyone yet. Jackie, agree, Joanne. Selena, when when's it mushy season, lol? Mushy season is normally round about October. I shouldn't be telling people that. And James Machine Elves are very common. Selena, James Lol, Cat. DMT is produced naturally in the brain. People take higher doses to try and access parts of the brain we don't normally reach, and it's in, yeah, whatever that is. Right, Sam, what's your opinion on plants and the paranormal? Because, shamans have done it for thousands of years. People have. There are other nations around the world where it is acceptable particularly in a religious aspect. What's your opinion on it? And while you're doing that, I'm just going to shut the dogs in the kitchen so I can have a cigarette with the front door open.
Don't have any personal experience, but my boss told me one time that he had a big dose of mushrooms one night, and he was driving home from a friend's house, and a steam train came towards him. So that would be outside of the paranormal. So he was hallucinating, like, you know.
What,
But
what was that, like a full-on hallucinogenic steam train?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
wow.
wouldn't mind. He was driving a pickup truck with a bad steering rack, so he had to keep doing this. He had to keep correcting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was off his head. But there is these tribes, and they have they use these herbal stuff, and some of it's pretty.
Some of them, Sam, lick the backs of frogs. There's
Yeah,
certain
yeah, yeah.
frogs that excrete things.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is some people that hallucinate. Some people that take certain stuff to excess hallucinate. So is that paranormal, or is it? Well, the guy that was driving home, the steam train thing,
Hmm.
that don't think it's going to be paranormal, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But you've got these tribes that are doing this all the time, and it brings them closer to these spirits or their gods or whatever.
Hmm. It was practiced in Druidism as well.
Yeah,
A lot of people ain't aware of that, but Druidism used a lot of interesting plants, shall we say.
yeah. There was a good. Andy was in a good conversation there during the week on another channel there, and it was around a similar subject.
Hmm.
You see, I think that combination we made, you know, with Becky's tea,
Yeah.
because that is meant to that is for a purpose. That combination,
I know.
and that with the right sort of plant herb
Hmm.
gives some really interesting results,
Yeah.
as we know.
Yep.
Because obviously, with the certain green herb that's very like, common, you don't hallucinate with it. You
No.
know what I mean? You don't get that sort of effect. So you know you're not going to see something that's not actually there. That's all conjured up back via your own mind or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've had an experience. I did a meditation with tea and just a small bit of that green herb, and
Yeah.
I was doing some meditation in nature reserve, and I saw something in grass, you know what I mean, and it was looking at me, and then it walked away, and then chocolate bag slid out on its own next to me, and I absolutely shit myself because noise on it, it like startled me out on it,
Yeah.
and that were interesting. I definitely try that again.
See, it's alright. I ain't got what's it. I'm just smoking an extremely strong cigarette. Kat's brought an interesting point up. DMT is produced naturally in the brain. People take higher doses to try and access parts of the brain we don't normally reach. Yep, totally agree, Kat. Andy's used that big word again that I can never pronounce. Yeah, just say DMT. It's easier for me to pronounce. Cat was naughty in her teens. I ain't going to read it all out, just in case the what's it's listening. It's alright. Sorry about this. The chat just scrolled up.
Imagine sending those so-called cakes that Andy was talking about to a church garden party. It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
So, I'm just reading down the comments. Cat's gone on about words again I can't pronounce, but it's purge basically. Top shelf in the drawer of a fridge, she says. Mind over matter, and you know it's real. That's Selena. James says DMT neurotransmitters are sometimes released in quite high quantities. I'm going to ask something when I've read all these questions. It's probably going to shock all the paranormal people. Right, I ain't reading all that out 'cause it's got long words in. Right, what I'm going to say at the bottom, hang on, I'll just read James's. The bottom because it's about shamans. Siberian shamans used to take Amanita muscaria or fly agaric. But again, it has to be prepared correctly. Yeah, there's a lot of them do because they're dangerous. Now here's one for you to Andy and everybody in the chat. Do you think we could all actually be misled in the paranormal world and everything and everybody's experiencing is just when our brains are misfiring and producing too much of one chemical or another and giving us these hallucinogenic effects and stuff? I'll ask Sam that first.
No, I don't think so.
So you think there are genuine phenomena out there and it ain't just all the result of brain misfires?
No. If I link that with ITC and stuff, what is talking to us?
Yeah. Okay.
What is speaking back to us?
But could that not be part of an if you were hallucinating through a brain fart? Do you think you've had enough evidence to prove you don't have that many brain farts for it to be that?
Well, if I have a good spirit box session and I put up on YouTube and other people hear what I heard, they can't all be hallucinating like.
Okay, spot on. Good point. Andy? Go on, carry on.
Or when I review that session a number of hours later or a number of days later.
And you still hear the same thing. Okay. Yeah. That's a good strong argument for that then. Andy?
I was going to say a similar thing to Sam. You can't guarantee anything really. I'm going to go visual.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing stuff.
Yeah.
Right? I've always said to Becky, we can never guarantee if there's only us that see something, then it isn't our brain producing it. But if we both see the same thing, then that opens up an all new spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there might be some, going back to the psychic thing that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Two people might be able to sync up in energy and frequency to see something at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's plausible, but I would like to think that you weren't doing that and you're actually seeing a proper, true, phenomena that's happening.
Yeah.
So, seeing something at the same time, I think's a bigger notable experience than a singular experience.
Yeah. Now, my argument is, and it's one neither of you touched on, there are simply too many cases that I believe are genuine that have occurred throughout, time for people's brains to be misfiring that often without us having a serious problem. I think just the sheer number of cases nullifies the fact that it would be something, to do with like chemical imbalance. Would you say?
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot in there.
Yeah. I just think that if that many people were having brain farts, I think as a species we wouldn't last very long. Survival of the fittest. Interestingly, let me find what's it. Selena's poor, and I think Selena works in mental health. I may be wrong, but I think she does. Misfires can cause psychosis, so possibly. And then Andy's gone on to say, I suffer with psychosis occasionally, and what I hallucinate there is nothing like what I hallucinate on, Jesus, whatever that is. Oh, psychedelics. One looks real, the latter is more melting and lights. So it's like you say it's like a different two different effects depending on which one it is. Kat says, yeah, I looked at those, but wasn't sure if they were reliable. Watched the programme a bit ago. Presenter was investigating, and it actually took it on camera. Was at a priest's house, really chilled. Oh, right. James, I've got a suspicion that when we're dreaming that we're actually hallucinating. I think the body release chemicals at night which cause us to hallucinate, which have come to be known as dreams. What's your thoughts on that, Andy?
I don't know, because I've always... Who put that up?
James.
James, oh yeah.
I've got a suspicion that when we're dreaming that we're actually hallucinating. I think the body releases chemicals at night which cause us to hallucinate, which have come to be known as dreams.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, because I mean, a lot of mine, well, unless that like really cool ones that are like a really cool story, a lot of them are subconscious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll mash stuff together from what's happened in day and
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. See, there was somebody discussing this dreams and stuff on a channel the other day, and they were saying that they dreamed about people that they had never actually seen before in their life, and you know the brain ain't capable of making that up. Now, to me, I think that's a bit debatable because people invent things all the while, don't they? You know, I think it's easy for a brain to invent a face.
Yeah.
But that was, I forgot what my argument was. I forgot it. I forgot what I was gonna say. I was going down the right line then, and I forgot what it was. It was to do with the, oh Christ. I'll give up. It's totally gone. I've had a brain fart. Jackie says, I hear you, Andy. I hallucinated when sick when younger. I need to tell myself that it's not possible because it is not rational. The hallucination feels like a real memory. Bear in mind too, Lily, that you are more likely to be safe in the EU. Many have died on these Peruvian type retreats. Andy's put, I'd want to test James. The whole chemical imbalance thing is just a theory. I've never had my brain chems analysed, etc. I don't know anyone else who has either. I suppose that's the point in it. How do they know that if they ain't experimenting what is supposed to be normal? Chemicals in the brain. If you have your imagination, your brain can invent things when you dream easily enough. Oh yeah, that was what I was I was going to say. You've also got to bear in mind with the subconscious actually, they say that your subconscious never forgets anything, Andy. So my argument was, every person you have ever seen in your life is stored in your subconscious. So, when you're dreaming, your subconscious could be accessing your dreams and putting the faces that you don't even remember seeing into them.
Yeah.
Can you just carry on a sec while I run to the loo?
Yeah.
Cheers.
My seat's playing up again. Need to get a new seat.
Yeah, definitely.
But mine is not that old, I was watching these documentaries, killers in the home. It's a documentary, and I can't remember the name of the doctor that used to present the program. And it was just killers in the Edwardian home, killers in the Elizabethan home, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And in those houses, they had gas boilers in the bathrooms and uh, lead and asbestos in the wallpapers and lead pipes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No wonder way back they used to see ghosts. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. We all chemical and that. I mean, but same with mercury in tooth fillings. It used to say they used to go mad with it, didn't they, and stuff. You know.
Yeah. The old clocks that used to glow, that chemical was actually radioactive, and it killed a lot of the women that used to paint the faces of the clocks because they used to put the paintbrushes in the mouth to make a point
Oh
on
yeah,
the.
yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of them had got mouth cancers and stuff like that.
Wow.
But some of the chemicals that were in those old homes, used to the old fridges and the building materials themselves. That's why we have so many abandoned old buildings. It's easier to build new ones.
Yeah,
The-
definitely.
yeah, than to take out the harmful stuff in the old ones. You know.
I'm
So,
sure we've had a fair share of asbestos fillings in his lungs,
yeah.
being explorers.
Yeah, you get the sign on going in, asbestos, do not
Yeah.
enter, and you see an open window and you just go in anyway.
Yeah.
I'm back.
You know?
I've lost track of the combo, so we'll start a new subject. Shall we do a conspiracy theory? What is your opinions on what's happening with 5G and it all being connected to like an Illuminati thing of world control?
Oh, God. Oh,
It all links in
Jesus.
with the Masons and the Knights Templar, Sam.
Fuck's sake.
Come on, let's hear your theory, Sam.
When 4G came along, there
Mhm.
was conspiracies about it. 5G, people are freaking out about this video, right? This video that went online. Oh, look at the high EMF. That wasn't the reading of the EMF. That was the reading of the strength of the signal.
Right.
I don't believe. I personally don't believe that there's anything suspicious to
Uh,
do with 5G.
right. So you don't think it's caused like coronavirus, and you don't think it's being used to keep track of us by for extraterrestrial use and stuff.
Oh, hell no.
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 I knew what the response was going to be there. As soon as I
No.
mentioned aliens, Andy.
uh, I genuinely believe that any new blanketing of a new wave and signal could potentially make people away.
Mhm.
And when it's done on a mass scale like they're doing, I believe that some people are going to have adverse effects to it.
Right.
I genuinely do.
Mhm.
And it's been proven in history that every time they do something like this,
Mhm.
there is a mass illness that happens.
Right.
Um, look back at all big pandemics and stuff, it kind of coincided with a new blanketing of a new wave on Earth. You can't deny it, it's all there, and it all tallies up.
Mhm.
But people are getting more sensitive to these things.
Yeah. Do you think
We're
they could be like generating EMF fields, Andy, that could be causing people to hallucinate and see more things that they think are paranormal?
oh, I don't know. I hadn't considered that sort of way. I just know that people are generally feeling a bit more ill. Unrecognizable illness like that just
Yeah.
happens out of the blue. You know, but in respects of it being in a controlling form, I don't know, or if it like you've just said, if it can make you hallucinate more
Mhm.
or see more, I don't
Yeah.
know.
See, because one of the main conspiracy theories now is that they've combined it with the coronavirus, So
Yeah.
everybody's got to be immunised, and they're going to inject some kind of bloody tracker in you that's going to be tracked by this 5G.
Oh no, come on.
What do you think
I,
about that one?
I can see them implementing something like that in the future. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
These chips have been talked about for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see that they're going to want to take physical money away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to want to do it. Most people's money are numbers on a screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like say if you inherited 5.5 million tomorrow, if
Yeah.
you want lottery,
Yeah.
you're never going to see 5.5 million physically
No.
ever.
No.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It will be always nearly numbers on a screen,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to pay that way via a chip, it is the way for it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're turning technological. We're wanting to become more robotic.
Mm-hmm.
You can, people are going to be wanting to be plugged into systems. Virtual reality is going that way. We want to be endowed in technological formats.
Mm-hmm.
It's how it's going. So I can see that there will be trackers in these things as well to keep an eye on. It's like this thing
Well,
that China.
they're apparently installing trackers in streetlights. There's a couple of videos on YouTube at the moment that actually show these streetlights, what's in them, and the trackers and stuff. Go on.
Yeah, it's like I was saying with China implementing that sort of scoring system via
Yeah.
technology,
The
as well.
the social casting they use.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all going that way anyway. So I believe that one day they will want us to have these chips, which will have his IDs in,
Mm-hmm.
all his medical information, tracking devices. So, because at the end of the day, people go missing.
Mm-hmm.
We can find them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an easy way to do it, but there'll always. What you've got to understand, I think, is that there'll always be a good side to it and a sinister side to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how they play a game. That's how they do it. So yeah, I don't think this thing now is like a way to do. I think it's a smaller level thing because I genuinely don't believe
Yeah. Yeah.
this virus exists. I am one of them people. I do not believe it. I of what it's been pegged.
Yeah.
I believe that we've still got as flus, as common colds, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I do, I've got to say I'm one of them people. I do not believe it's what they have pegged it to be. And that's just me. It's my opinion. I'm sticking
Yeah.
to it. I'll go out to because police stopped me in park today and they're like, you sat on a bench, police sanitize. I said, what way? I can't get bloody hand gel. I've been sat on this bench for 3 weeks. I'm fine. Stop preaching it to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's sort of my attitude with it. Go away, leave me alone.
That's it. Best thing. Right.
That's it.
Here's a quick fire question to both of you. That's totally off the topic. Then, if you knowing everything you know now, if you could go back to one place or situation in the paranormal where you could visit to see if it was actually true or not, which one would it be?
It's got to be obvious one for me.
Go on.
Roswell.
So you'd like to go back to Roswell just to witness it for yourself to see if it actually happened?
Yeah, even just to walk around crash site, just to see what it looked like, and
Mm-hmm. Sam?
That's a difficult one. It's a difficult one because there's so many and they're all high profile stuff and covered by TV shows. I don't know. Actually, what's been on my mind was you've probably never heard of it except for the videos that I've done. is the Cuneen Ghost House. It's a
Right.
small cottage in County Fermanagh, and the lady with her seven children were tormented by negative paranormal activity for a couple of years, and then helped by the clergy, and she was sent to America.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things in the story that doesn't make sense. Even though I do know negativity exists in that little cottage.
Mhm.
But way back in 1913 to 1915, the priest sending the lady and all the children to America, that was a bit extreme.
Mhm.
You know, why use the parish funds to send a family to America when they could just send them to a different house? So
Yeah.
there's controversy around that, with the possibility that the priest got a little bit friendly with the mother of the children.
Mhm.
You know, so I would love to go back and find out the history before that. Was this when Marion Goodfellow went in and sensed that Johnny, who used to own the house, and he was a grumpy old man, was it actually him that owned the house, and was it him that's haunting the house? There's a lot of
Mhm.
unanswered questions about the place.
See now, me, I'd like to go back to the Gimlin movie of that female Sasquatch walking across
Oh, aye, yeah.
the river. I would like to be there with them two to see what they actually filmed. I'd like, and
It,
that
it,
would, for me
it,
that would prove Bigfoot one way or the other. Then,
it is a very good piece of footage.
yeah, that's what I'd like to go back to. James says he'd like to go back to day one to see who made and how the Earth, plants, and the universe was created. So, what's your thoughts on Bigfoot, Andy?
In what respect?
What do you believe Bigfoot is, or or what he does?
I think it's just an interdimensional creature.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how? I don't know, because I believe a lot on them are. Like Nessie, Bigfoot, Autic cryptids. I all think they're coming through fin spots. Because I think these fin spots are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you imagine them as like a circle, you know, disturbance,
Mm-hmm.
maybe about what 10-foot circles, just planted. I think they're quite. There's quite a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them. And I just think there's like little fin spots that are between realms everywhere, between dimensions and stuff, and I think they just pass through them.
All right.
I reckon we could possibly do it if we could find great vibration and pick up on them.
Okay, then last question before I close it up, before we finish off. And I know you don't really believe in in spirits, Andy,
Mm.
but if you could go and witness and see for yourself one famous ghost, which ghost would it be?
Uh, all right, then. If I could sit and witness and monitor an happening
Mm-hmm.
just to wait to rest,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pick East Drive.
So what would you want to see at East Drive?
Just what happened. Just in
With
it,
the
in
with
it.
the, with the original family.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With Pritchard's.
Right, okay. Sam?
Yeah.
Does it have to be a ghost?
Yep. Why,
Oh.
what else do you want it to be?
Um, this claim that this demon possessed the Annabelle doll
Right.
or the Robert the doll. There's something not, something doesn't. You don't hear about these things, in modern times. You hear them way back, but in the 80s and before that. But you never, these dolls are in these museums and they're not moving now, like.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Can demons possess dolls?
So you'd like to go? You'd like to go and witness the Annabelle ghost, or whatever it was.
I would like to find the truth, yeah.
Yeah. If any ghost I'd like to see, it would be Anne Boleyn in the Tower of London. That's the one ghost I would really love to see. Right. Well, on that note, folks, I'm going to call it tonight because it's nearly 12 and I am knackered and thirsty and tired and running out of things to talk about. So, thank you all for coming in. Been a brilliant night again. Had fun. Thank you to Andy and Sam.
Always.
Thank you. Right.
And I'm going to let you go now, and we will be back on Friday with a new paranormal discussion. I'll have a chat with Andy and Sam and see what the subject is and post it on the channel. So, thank you all, everybody, and have a good night.
Good night,
Thanks for
everybody.
Bye.